found that life without a lawyer can be frustrating. Still, with only one loss in the conference this year, the Tigers are very much alive for their third straight SEC title, a standard equaled only 5 other times in conference history. But the Georgia Bulldogs own a piece of that record, and sharing Uga's bone won't be a pleasant task. Ray Goff's young squad has grown up in a hurry, and last week's comeback win over Florida showed that even without Vince, the Dogs can still hunker down. Live from Sanford Stadium, TBS Sports continues its 6th season of SEC football coverage. Today, the South's oldest rivalry is renewed as the 11th-ranked Auburn Tigers meet the Georgia Bulldogs for the 93rd time this afternoon between the hedges in Athens, Georgia. Hello, everybody. Along with Tim Foley, this is Bob Neal in Athens. It's 53 degrees, a little overcast today, but a beautiful day for football. The Auburn Tigers come into this ball game with an opportunity to win a share of the SEC championship if they can beat Georgia, if they can beat Alabama on December 2nd. The Bulldogs are on a win streak of their own. They are bowl-bound and are hoping to change the tide of things about Auburn winning most of the games in the 1980s. And Tim Foley, we talk about Auburn. It's been a successful year, a little disappointing to some people who predicted maybe they'd be undefeated this time, like myself. But where Auburn has had success, it's been with their defensive football team.
Yeah, Wayne Hall's done a great job with that defense. Early on in the season, they took a licking from Tennessee, but since then, they've really come back. David Rocker, Craig Ogletree providing pass pressure, and right now they lead the nation in pass defense.
Now, the Georgia offensive team, we said last week in that Florida game, it's a balanced team, much more balanced pass and run this year, but still, Rodney Hampton is the straw that stirs their drink.
No question about it, and Auburn has got to shut down Rodney Hampton. If they can do that and force Georgia to throw the ball, then Georgia will have a hard time. They're best when they throw when they want to.
Georgia's defensive team young, but they've played very well, and they have a few players who've really come up with key plays at the right time for them.
Their veterans have played well for them all year. Goldberg and Mo Lewis, Ben Smith doing a fine job.
Now let's talk about the Auburn offense. Reggie Slack carrying even a heavier load this year. He doesn't have quite the support as in last season.
Last year he was one of the pieces to the puzzle. This year he is the puzzle. He doesn't have much of a supporting staff. Look for them to work in Electron Williams a little bit more today, giving him the ball, but they're going to try to protect Slack, I think, and he'll put the ball in the air against this Georgia secondary.
These two schools are so close to each other. They've been playing so long, it's almost a cross-state rivalry. It'll be a beauty here today in Athens, Georgia. We'll be back for the kickoff in a moment, but now back to our studios in Atlanta. Craig Sager and the Insider Report.
Thanks, Bob. The Inside Word at Florida says Gary Darnell will be replaced at the end of the season. The only candidate of note is former Gator Steve Spurrier, currently the coach at Duke. Spurrier, however, may not be available. He signed a contract extension a year ago.
Here today, it is a hard sellout, a tough ticket. On the sideline with us today, our colleague Ron Thulin will be reporting throughout the game. Ron?
Bob, Pat Dye is extremely proud of this Auburn team. He conveyed those thoughts yesterday in a meeting that took almost 30 minutes here at Sanford Stadium prior to the practice. He said that in most programs, 7-2, 2 losses would be extremely acceptable. But because of Auburn's tradition, some have not accepted that so well. But he is proud of the team, the way they have hung together this year. And Bob, he has his hands full this afternoon. Bob?
The Auburn Tigers ready to enter the field here at Sanford Stadium, led by Pat Dye, who is a Georgia graduate, who recovered a fumble that led to a Fran Tarkenton touchdown in '59 for Georgia to beat Auburn. Pat Dye, in his 9th year at Auburn, graduated here between the hedges. He played here in 1962, and Ron told you, Pat Dye said 7-2 would be okay some places, but not with this kind of powerhouse. The Georgia Bulldogs are on a win streak. Last week, the victory over Florida, 17-10. A big game for the Dogs. They turn right around and come back to their oldest rivalry. Ray Goff has played in this game. In '76, he was SEC Player of the Year. His first year as collegiate head coach. And the Georgia Bulldogs are also bowl-bound. Back with the kickoff in a moment.
Today's game is brought to you by Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light. It doesn't get any better than this. By Valvoline Motor Oil. People who know use Valvoline. By Georgia Pacific Building Products with superior performance built in. And by Gatorade Thirst Quencher. Gatorade is thirst aid for that deep down body thirst.
The capacity crowd still filing into Sanford Stadium. We're ready for the kickoff. Georgia won the toss, will receive. Back deep for Georgia. In the upper left of your screen is Arthur Marshall, a sophomore. He had a 71-yarder earlier this year. And on the right, number 29 is Rodney McCoy. Jim Von Weil will kick it off for Auburn. He is number 3. And the 93rd meeting between the Tigers and the Bulldogs is underway. Marshall's going to let it bound into the end zone. And Georgia will take over, first down 10. At the 20-yard line, sophomore Greg Talley, 6 touchdown passes, 7 interceptions this year. He's thrown for about 1,100 yards. The diehard starting lineups, Rodney Hampton, the guy. He could go over 1,000 yards today, has 934 coming into this ball game. The offensive line, Kurt Mull. Over on the right side will have his hands full with David Rocker and Craig Ogletree on the Auburn defensive front, which we will set after this play. On the first down, the fullback gets the ball. Brian Cleveland, only a couple of yards, and the rock-hard Auburn defense makes the stop. They lead the nation in pass defense and are number 1 in the SEC in points allowed. Walter Tate, the nose guard, a true freshman, made the play. The star who's aborning there is David Rocker. Remember his brother Tracy, who's in the pros now. Craig Ogletree has 10 sacks on the year, and John Wiley a little bit out of position. He was primarily a cornerback previously. He heads up an Auburn secondary that'll see the pass from Georgia more than they have in previous meetings. Second down 8 from the 22. The play fake and Talley on the sprint out. It is complete. 283, Kirk Warner to the 44-yard line of the Tigers. Stop made by Frankie Stankunas and Domingo Anderson. A gain of 23 yards.
Play action by Talley. Young quarterback, great instincts. Georgia loves the tight end on a bootleg. They had Sean Hummings had run out the cornerback, Domingo Anderson, and Warner makes the reception.
From the 44-yard line of the Bulldogs, first down, opening moments from Sanford Stadium. The pitch to Hampton goes to the short side, and short is a good word for that. It was short if any gain, may have lost a little. Craig Ogletree and Elton Billingsley, the outside linebackers, combined on the stop.
And there's Pat Dye, and for the 8th year in a row, he has these Auburn Tigers into the stretch run of the season with an opportunity to at least share in the SEC title, creating a legacy there at Auburn. As you mentioned, Bob, a former Georgia lineman.
Second down 10 from the 44. Talley faking, throwing back to Hampton. Hampton is drilled at the 39-yard line by Elton Billingsley, number 47. Good quarterback pressure from Ogletree also.
Well, it's a screen to the weak side, Bob. Little play action, roll strong side, and they had a screen all the way. Now watch Elton Billingsley. Started the year in a little bit of an emotional turmoil, went home, going to quit football. Was talked into coming back, and it's had a great year for the Auburn Tigers. He's had a couple of interceptions, playing a real solid linebacker opposite Craig Ogletree.
After gaining 23 on the Talley to Warner pass, the Bulldogs have lost 4 for third down and 14. Talley gets his first time out of the game. These Auburn Tigers defensively are fired up at the moment. Might not be a bad idea for Talley to get the timeout, among other things, to let his team settle down. Talley returns to the field. Third down, 14 Bulldogs at their own 40-yard line. Opening drive of this ball game. Hampton in motion. Talley steps into the pocket, can't find anybody. He's going to run. He is short of the first down. To about the 47-yard line, Corey Barlow laid a real hit on him, number 12 for Auburn. And Joey Hester will come in to punt for Georgia. Hester, a major factor for Ray Goff's team in the game against Florida. He opened the game with a punt, a 55-yarder down at the 1-yard line, and he had 3 inside the 20 last week.
Big hit by Corey Barlow there. It looked like Talley was going to slide through. A real pop, forced a Georgia punt.
Shane Wasden stands on his 10. This is another beauty by Hester. Wasden with a fair catch at the 10. 37-yard punt, but very effectively done by Joey Hester. Now the Auburn Tigers, led by Reggie Slack. He has about 1,400 yards in the air. Slack has thrown 10 touchdown passes. Joseph and Strong start in the backfield. There'll be some changes in that backfield for Auburn we'll deal with, and Alexander Wright will be more involved. Jeff Catullo, a young man starting at right tackle, a redshirt freshman, because Bob Meeks had arthroscopic surgery on his knee this week. From the 10, Auburn, first down. James Joseph. George Brewer, the true freshman, starting in place of the nicked-up Bill Goldberg, made the stop. Here's that Georgia Bulldog defensive alignment. We'll see Goldberg in the game, Georgia's leading tackler, but Brewer starting there. Bell had a good game against Florida last week. Mo Lewis, 10 sacks for the linebacking core for the Bulldogs. And the secondary, Ben Smith, 8 interceptions, leading the league. No gain, second down 10. Slack pops it over the middle to Victor Hall. First down, Auburn. Gain of 14.
That Georgia defense is playing without a long-time starter. Norman Cowens came up with mononucleosis this week, and they weren't sure about his status till right before the game, and they're going without him. They'll back him. Instead of Cowens in there, you'll see Brian Gant, number 88, who's speedy, but still trying to get a handle on assignments, and Horace Thompson.
First down 10 from the 23-yard line for the Tigers. Dumps it out to number 40, Alex Strong. Strong out here to the 35-yard line. George Wynn coming up to make the play. A gain of 11 yards. So Slack and the passing game already more obvious for Auburn in this game.
I think they want to loosen things up, Bob. I don't think they want that Georgia defense to wad up in there as you see Slack dumping the ball over Mo Lewis. They want to loosen them up early and then come back to it.
Alex Strong with the reception is playing with some torn cartilage in his ribs today. May not be able to go all the way at fullback. On first down from the 35. Tigers started at their 10. James Joseph tries the right side. Drives to the 41. James Joseph, 6'2", 225, a powerful tailback who'll also play some fullback today.
You know, and Rob Selby started 11 games for him at right tackle. He's back in there now, starting right tackle. Catullo had been playing a couple of games because Selby had injured his ankle. That time did a great job on Hiawatha Berry. As you see, Ray Goff, 3 losses this year by 11 points, 4 wins in a row. The Bulldogs are on a roll.
Second down 4 from the 41. So are the Tigers on this drive. There's the Bulldog defense stopping James Joseph short of the first down. The stick just across the 45-yard line.
Up front, they had problems on the right side, losing Selby, and Pat Dye had a problem at left tackle, replacing Bob Meeks, who, of course, is back home at Auburn watching this game on TV, and they go with Anthony Brown there. As a backup, they're so concerned about it that actually they've moved to tight end. Chris Gray is ready as a reserve tackle to bolster that offensive front for Auburn.
Just about the nose of the football, the difference between a first down here for the Tigers. Joseph gets the first down to about the 47. Mo Lewis, Mike Jones come up to meet him for the Bulldogs, but Auburn continues their drive. They started at their own 10-yard line after an effective Joey Hester punt.
Let's look at the right side of this offensive line for Auburn. John Hudson, number 66, number 78, Rob Selby coming back off a bad ankle. And he and Brad Johnson wall out that front. You said, Bob, they had a nose to go, and he got about a head's worth. That's about all.
Darrell Williams, number 45. They call him Electron, a 5'9" true freshman scat back in there for Auburn now. He wears number 45. Slack to the air on the double clutch. Intended for Greg Taylor, incomplete. Number 16, Greg Taylor, Also not what you call your tallest wideout at 5'8".
Sometimes Georgia's cornerbacks don't match up well against the opposition because they're both rather small. Either Wilson and Jackson on one side, Wynn on the other side, but Auburn's receivers are also rather diminutive. Also, they've got a lot of speed. You can plan on them trying to go over the top to Alexander Wright before the afternoon's over.
Second down 10 from the Auburn 47. 8th play of the Auburn drive. Scoreless game. 8:35 to go first quarter. Here's Darrell Williams. Inside Georgia territory, tripped up by 94 Robert Bell, the Georgia nose guard.
And this has been the story of the Auburn offense this year. They've had to have extended drives. They really haven't had the big play guy. If it's not Alexander Wright over the top, it's not going to come out of the offensive backfield. They haven't had that explosive running back, and they're hoping that Electron Williams can provide that extra dimension. As you look at Pat Sullivan, of course, former Heisman Trophy winner and offensive coordinator at Auburn.
Third down 8. The Georgia Loyalists trying to rally their Bulldogs defensively. And they rise to the occasion, dropping Darrell Williams at the 46. Mo Lewis made the play, number 57.
Now, some people would shout conservative offense to that, but when you get a man-to-man underneath coverage, and if you can get Electron Williams the ball, get the man that's supposed to be covering him screened off, and turn that guy loose, he can go a long way. And that's what they were planning on. That's what they were trying to do.
Barefoot punter Richie Nell, Jr. from Satsuma, Alabama, punts it to 12. Arthur Marshall at his 8. Putting the markers down. Marshall gets to the 21. Excuse me. Make that the 21. Yes, that's a 13-yard return after a 45-yard punt.
And Ray Goff's talking to that young man, say, make a good decision, make a good decision. They had a clip there. Dennis Wallace got clipped, but you teach your people to get in the right place, take care of their responsibility, and then there are judgment things that are occurring all throughout a play. And that time, he just didn't get his head in front, and those officials, all they have to do is see somebody fall on their face, and they think he got blocked in the back.
Kevin Brown was 35, the man Ray Goff was talking to. They'll spot the ball back to the 12.5-yard line. When we return, it'll be Georgia first down 10.
You see it coming out of the top left of your screen. Dennis Wallace, number 30, is pushed by Kelvin Brown, and there goes the flag, and you'll see Ray Goff's feet, and you'll see his hat come off too. There goes Ray's hat. And he made sure his hat got on squarely, didn't he?
First down 10 from the 8-yard line. Talley throwing to Warner again, out to the 12. That's Warner's second catch of the afternoon. And Talley's 3 out of 3 so far today.
This Auburn defense has really grown up, and Greg Talley knows that. Talley alternating in there with Preston Jones, and Jones the more pure passer, Talley the better, well, I'm not sure if you could say he's a better athlete, but just better instincts. I think has a better overall understanding of where the ball should go.
Second down 6. Sean Hummings in motion for the Bulldogs. Rodney Hampton right side for a yard or so and not much more.
Whenever these two teams get together and both defenses are playing fairly soundly, you know it's going to be a game of field position. And Bob, you know you love to talk about those kickers, and the kickers, as Ray Goff knows, will come into play here. You do not want to make an error early in the game, as Auburn did against Florida a few weeks ago, and give the other team an advantage. So you get a little conservative down in this area.
Georgia with a very strong kicking and punting game. Auburn a bit inconsistent this year. Talley in some trouble. Scrambles out to the 15. First down sticks out at the 18-yard line. Bleisma made the stop. Milesma, excuse me, number 55 from Opelika, Alabama.
This time Cromartie in there for Auburn. Milesma in there. They're working in people. They play a lot of folks on defense. Wayne Hall believes on that. Give people experience in the fourth quarter. It's going to pay off for you. Everybody's going to be a little bit fresher.
Joey Hester will take this snap on his end zone line. Hits a cannon shot. Wasden at the 41. Has the picket fence. Shane Wasden out of bounds yards at the 24-yard line, and the ball came loose. It remains in the possession of Auburn. So the Auburn Tigers have taken over field position after the 35-yard return of a 44-yard punt.
Now, they talk about a punter out kicking their coverage. It has to really nail this one, but you have to have containment. Somebody on that Georgia special teams is responsible for not letting Wasden get into that alley.
5:11 to go, first quarter, scoreless game. Auburn, first down 10. James Joseph, about 3, no more, to the 23. Goldberg made the stop, number 95 for the Bulldogs.
And Goldberg has had a remarkable year this year. 105 tackles as a down lineman. You just don't see that happening. And he has been hurt almost all year. Had a rotator cuff problem. Now he's hobbled by an ankle injury. you have to shoot him to keep him out of this game.
8 sacks, 105 tackles, leading the team coming into this ball game. Second down 10 from the 23. Slack gives it to James Joseph. Finds some running room. Look how strong Joseph runs to the 15. Look to be short of the first down, depending on where they stop his forward progress. Hiawatha Berry made the tackle for Georgia. James Joseph Jr. from Phoenix City, Alabama.
And Joseph is that kind of a guy that does it all for you, Bob. I think he's our leading receiver, leading rusher, just a hard-nosed, give you everything he got on every play type of guy.
Joseph, Danley, and Strong in the backfield, double tight ends, full house. Third down, about a yard. Here comes Danley. Danley hit hard at the 15 by 43, Kirk Douglas. I don't think they got it. The Bulldogs stopped Auburn with the full house double tight end power sweep to the left.
And here again on short yardage, we're going laterally, and they're trying to get a seam. They try to get it broken outside, but a good job by the Bulldog defense containing it, and then Kurt Russell picking that hole and firing up in there and make the stop.
32-yard attempt by Win Lyle, 11 of 14 on the year, his longest a 47-yarder. Win Lyle hits this one well. Auburn takes the lead with 3:10 to go in the first quarter. The Tigers 3, the Bulldogs nothing. Auburn has taken the lead 3-0 on the 32-yard field goal by Win Lyle. This week's Fruit of the Loom Classroom champion is Auburn's Jeff Sweeney, a key member on the men's swim team. He swam the 100-meter butterfly and backstroke at the 1989 NCAA championships. A junior in pre-med, he has a 3.71 GPA. Jeff Sweeney, Fruit of the Loom Classroom champion for lasting quality and value. They fit America. 3:10 to go, first quarter. So Georgia avoided giving up the touchdown on the good third down defensive stand, but because of the 35-yard punt return by Shane Wasden, the Auburn Tigers get the field goal in the lead. Kicking off. Deep in the end zone, Marshall touches it down. The Bulldogs trail in the game. Will start it off at their 20-yard line. Hampton only 2 carries for only 2 yards so far. Tallies 3 out of 3 tossing it.
They're trying to pick. They're trying to go to the tight end. They're trying to get those linebackers thinking about something else but Rodney Hampton. They're trying to distract those Riggins on the inside and Crawford.
Talley from Valdosta. Play fake to Hampton. Rolling down the field and incomplete at the 44-yard line. John Wiley came up to cover. Pass intended for Arthur Marshall.
Something got in Talley's way a little bit early. Didn't quite get it off in time. By the time that ball was in the air, Wiley was making a move on the ball.
Georgia and Georgia Tech will conclude their seasons on December 2nd. You see Tech with a big lead over Wake Forest early. Georgia Tech could win out the rest of the way, be 7-4, and not go to a bowl game. Can you believe that? Because of the early bidding. Here's Hampton. Stopped at the 21. Ogletree with a stop for Auburn.
Rodney Hampton is the type of man that you want on your team. He's the type of man that you want to be a superstar because he's got that great work ethic. He's got that unselfish spirit that you want from a guy that is going to get a lot of exposure. Sometimes college players get too much print, too much ink, and they think they're bigger than the team. Hampton is the kind of guy that keeps his ego in check and just always does what's best for the unit.
Georgia caught him another 3rd down long. Talley hits Hampton, 1st down. To the 43-yard line. John Wiley and Alex Thomas combine after Hampton from Talley gets 21 yards.
I love this guy. He came loping out of there on a pass like he wasn't going to do anything. Wiley's got a man-to-man underneath. You'll see him slide out of your screen to the left. Wiley man-to-man, and he's thinking he's just taking the play off, and all of a sudden, Hampton opens it up inside, breaks loose inside, and upfield he goes.
I think the 2 best backs in the SEC this year are Hampton and Saran Stacy at Alabama. Rodney showing you why I think that to the 46-yard line. Another 1st down. Wiley with the tackle. That's a gain of 11.
Ray Goff. Goal is a balanced offense. When it's running, here's the balance right here. Look at those linemen work. Alfonso Ellis leading the way. And just a super job by Sadler and Swan up there. Will Collie. Joe Hollis has done a fine job bringing that offensive line along. They're really being molded into a unit now. At the beginning of the season, all they had was Kurt Mull. That was the only experience.
Georgia inside Auburn territory on the 1st down. Talley with the play fake, and the toss popped into the air by an on-rushing defensive lineman for the Auburn Tigers. Might have been Lamar Rogers who got there, 91.
Lamar Rogers. And the coach of that defensive front for Auburn is a guy named Wayne Hall. Since Wayne has been at Auburn, every defensive lineman that has started for Auburn has made all SEC.
Uga would have been a defensive lineman.
He could have been. Now, good-looking one.
Couldn't be anything he was. 2nd down 10 from the 47. Talley stepping up, tucking it to run. Heading for the 1st down and a little bit more. Greg Talley to the 33-yard line. Wiley had to knock him down. A gain of 14, and the Bulldogs on the drive.
Great job of coverage here by the secondary for Auburn. Talley never really has time to look around much, and he takes that thin little frame of his and gets it in gear. Mama, it's not safe here any longer. I'm leaving town.
Talley has 3 carries for 28 yards, has thrown for 43. Threw under pressure that time, and the official is going to call him for intentional grounding, I believe. It was Fernando Horn, number 77, who was chasing him.
They're trying to get Brian Cleveland out of the backfield and up the sideline, much like they did with Rodney Hampton. But Elton Billingsley took him away. It was not open. Talley just tries to get rid of it, dump it, and good call by the official.
Loss of down on intentional grounding. They move the ball back to the 47-yard line of Auburn, and it'll be 2nd down 15. The referee today, by the way, the man in the white hat, Mac Gentry, heading the group of SEC officials. Make that 2nd down 23. 2nd down 23. Hampton to about the 42-yard line.
Very impressed by the secondary play of this Auburn defense early on. Of course, they lead the nation. They got to be pretty good. Steve Dennis is their coach, and he used to play at Georgia, and he's got them well prepared. That last play would have opened up on most defenses around the country, but Billingsley did an excellent job making a pickup.
This will be 3rd down 17. Talley. Did somebody hit his arm? That wobbled out of there. It's incomplete. And Georgia will have to get rid of the football. They'll bring in Hester to do that.
I think Craig Ogletree got a hold of his arm. Just as he was letting the ball go, I think Ogletree was there. And And he's been close, as you mentioned, Bob, 10 sacks. He's got 4 passes broken up. You see him coming around the outside. Just knocks the ball as it's released.
Tim 2020 Foley. Your eyes right on. Hester trying to drop it inside the 10. Maybe too long this time. In fact, it is out of the end zone. Auburn will bring it out to the 20-yard line, but hold everything for a moment. A penalty marker is down at the line of scrimmage. So before we go away, we'll check on this penalty marker. Only 10 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Auburn leads on a 32-yard field goal. 3-0.
Illegal kicking team did not have enough linemen. Okay.
Ray Goff talking to Kirk Warner. Don't know if he was the guilty part or not, but Auburn's going to keep the football, decline the penalty, and take it over at their 20-yard line. Tim, defensive struggle in the first quarter. Only 10 seconds left. Field position's been the key so far.
One big play. The punt return by Shane Wasden. And you got to give Pat Dye some credit, because Wasden dropped one against Tennessee, and then he dropped one later on in the year, but he stuck with him and kept his confidence in him, and Wasden pays him back with a good return.
Slack has him at the line for first down. James Joseph with a gaping hole. He runs so hard out to the 33-yard line. Mike Jones, the true freshman, making the stop for Georgia. Preston Jones warming on the sideline. He'll probably get some action in this game for Georgia. He's the redshirt freshman from Anderson, South Carolina. And that'll be the end of the first quarter, with the Auburn Tigers leading 3-0 from Sanford Stadium in Athens, Georgia. Auburn leading 3-0, ready to begin the second quarter. Ray Goff has been playing 13 true freshmen this year. They are making a lot of progress, and he's very happy with them. This is what he told us about him.
We feel very good about them. We feel like it's got a chance to be a very good class. They've gotten better each week, and the good thing about it is probably as close a group of freshmen. Even though 13 are playing, 10 aren't, when they go to the dining hall, they eat together, they spend time together, and it's probably a closer group of freshmen as we brought in a long time, and we're excited about them, and we just got to go out and recruit the same kind of student athletes for us next year.
And you can bet he'll do it again next year, too. I mean, if he's got a specialty, that's it, bringing in the horses.
First down 10 from the 33. Auburn leading 3-0. Opening play of the second quarter. Bob Neal, Tim Foley with you. Here's Darrell Williams to the 44-yard line. Darrell's a true freshman, 18 years old, 5'9", 190, gets 11 yards on that carry. Joseph and Danley are somewhat similar in the backfield. They're big, strong, powerful runners. This is the speed merchant.
And he was the Alabama Player of the Year last year in high school, Bob. And I think Bobby Bowden probably said it best. He said they were going to, when Florida State played Auburn, they were going to pressure him. They were going to get upfield after him because they didn't think they had anybody that could really run away from him. Now, Williams can run away from you.
First and 10 from the 45-yard line. Here comes Darrell Williams again. Searching for a crack. Finds very little this time. Yard or two at the most. So Auburn really at full strength for the first time in a while at the tailback position, with Joseph Williams and Stacy Danley coming back off the sore shoulder.
Yeah, and bringing along a freshman, as Pat Sullivan knows, as Pat Dye knows, or Ray Goff, is it's a specialty. You can't throw somebody in the race too soon. You may ruin them. It's almost like raising a horse. You don't want to let somebody ride him too early. And in their field now, they feel though that Williams is ready to step up and do his part and carry the load.
Slack with some play instructions on second down 9. Quick release over the middle of Victor Hall. Kurt Douglas brings him down. Hall's a big one, 6'3", 230 pounds.
And last year, Walter Reeves graduated, and it took them a while to really find somebody to replace him, but they've gone back to the tight end in the last 3 or 4 games. They're finding them between the linebackers, just that little 5 or 6 yard pop. And Pat Sullivan feels very good about Reggie Slack's ability to change the play and to get them in the right situation.
Short of the first down by the length of the football. You saw a shot of number 10, James Joseph, on the sideline. They had iced down his knee the last play or two. Seems to be okay now. He's up and moving about. The starting tailback for Pat Dye's Auburn Tigers. This will be third down and about the length of the football at the 46-yard line of Georgia. Home field doesn't matter much in this series. Both teams win the away games. Auburn has won 3 straight here in Athens. Here comes Darrell Williams. He gets the first down to the 45-yard line. Auburn leading 3-0. 13 minutes to go. First half.
The thing you have to admire about Pat Dye, he had really circled the wagons this year. I think people expected more than was reasonable from his team, considering they had 10 guys drafted by the NFL last year and they had 3 more signed as free agents. You just can't throw everybody out and then replace them with people that are as good and have as much experience. But after the Tennessee game, which was really a disappointing loss for him, he has really got this team back fighting together.
See that Auburn's been successful early. Better than Georgia here today. Slack a lot of time. He completes it to the 36-yard line to number 16, Greg Taylor. The stop made by Chris Wilson of Georgia. Gain of 9.
Good time for Reggie Slack there, and that's something that's been in short supply for him. He said, if I'm going to throw this one, I better do it in a hurry, and that's what he's had to do in the past because of the reshuffling of that Auburn's offensive front. And also, once the defense smells blood, they're just going to come after you more and more. And Reggie has been in the middle of traffic often this year.
Auburn 5 out of 6 for 40 yards passing the ball. A successful day thus far for Slack. Second down 2. Here is Darrell Williams. He does not get the first. He broke the tackle. Darrell Williams drives to the 24. George Wynn finally gets him. The missed tackle. Matt McCormick, 49, was one of the Georgia linebackers in there, but this little bolt of lightning, bolt of electron broke loose.
Watch Matt McCormick. Good stick, but his head's down. He really can't get it wrapped, and really Demetrius Douglas knocks him free. And as you mentioned, good leg drive and continues downfield, and they're looking for great things out of that young man over the next 3 years.
Auburn moving the ball well on Georgia in this first half. Reggie Slack wants and gets a timeout with 11:50 to go in the first half. Auburn leading 3-0 and on the move.
Confidence and momentum are an integral part of any college football game, and right now that confidence and momentum belongs to Auburn, and that is what the coaches conveyed to the offensive team just a few moments ago. He said, you guys are playing tough, keep going, keep pushing them back. Right now Auburn has a great deal of confidence. Bob?
Pat Dye met with the team yesterday for about a half hour before they even came out on the field here at Sanford. Obviously, he knows a win here and a win on December 2nd gives Auburn a share of the SEC title. Slack going left side, incomplete, intended for Greg Taylor.
Okay, that time the Bulldogs were coming after him, Bob. And Ben Smith was all alone on Alexander Wright. Gave him enough room. Most of the times an offense will run an option in that particular sense, as you look at James Joseph getting his thigh worked on. But they run an option route. They get down there and then they can either pick the post or pick the corner. But Ben Smith held it off long enough that Slack had to come off him and go to Taylor.
Second down 10 from the 25. Here's Stacy Danley. Not much to about the 23. Matt McCormick with the stop. So it'll be third down, long yardage for Auburn once again. They've been here before this afternoon and couldn't get the first down. Had to settle for a 32-yard field goal and lead 3-0. So another big defensive third down set for the Bulldogs.
That can be a tough job. You see Pat Sullivan trying to signal in the call. He's got his boss, the head coach, asking him what he's calling. It's hard to stay focused sometimes.
And will it work? 5 defensive backs in for Georgia. The freshman Al Jackson in there, number 2. Here comes everybody. Slack gets rid of it. Isolated in the end zone. Touchdown, Greg Taylor. A 24-yard touchdown toss. Georgia gambled and lost. Greg Taylor's second TD reception of the year. Reggie Slack has now thrown 11 touchdown passes is 9-0 Tigers. Win Lyle going for the point after. It's 10-0 Auburn with 10:57 remaining in the first half.
Let's watch this Auburn offensive line work. Number 52, Brad Johnson. 67, Ed King. John Hudson. Hold it there. Look at this now. It's a man-to-man block, and they come off well. Hudson picking up Demetrius Douglas. They're buying time, and now those defensive backs are man-to-man and saying, hurry up and get there. Not in time for Al Jackson, who's beat up field by Greg Taylor, but great protection by the offensive line of the Auburn Tigers. Now you see Jackson, he lets the inside, gives the inside up right away to Greg Taylor. Taylor had him all the way. Touchdown. A lonely feeling for a defensive back. A good move by the wide receiver. You have to protect the inside of the field. Make him throw it across your face.
Kicks it off for the Tigers. Arthur Marshall at the 3, his first kickoff return of the day. Finds a gap out to the 31-yard line. Initial hit, Frankie Stankunas, number 29, 28-yard return. 80-yard drive by Auburn, 10 plays. They threw the ball 4 times, ran it 6 times. Talk about balance. 45 yards passing, 35 yards running the ball for Auburn. And Preston Jones has checked in at quarterback for the Georgia Bulldogs, the 6'3", 220-pound redshirt freshman. See his numbers. Preston's from Anderson, South Carolina. Here's Hampton. Stutter step would have got him a yard, but not much more. Quentin Riggins with the stop for Auburn. So Auburn team looking very balanced here today, Tim, in terms of defensively, offensively, running it, passing it.
That's what their offense has been, and what you're seeing, I think, is a little bit more explosion from the tailback position. I think this Auburn team is becoming more confident. Pat Dye, one of his challenges this week is to keep this team's mind off of Alabama. Obviously, the biggest game of the year for Alabama and Auburn is that final game, and he's trying to keep his team focused on the Bulldogs.
2nd down 8 from the 33. Preston Jones has a lot of time. He had to throw it away, though, because of the excellent coverage. I mean, Auburn had everybody back there in the secondary.
Another great job by Elton Billingsley. They often get sucked into the flow of a play, and that time he stayed at home and just well prepared. Can't say enough about the coaches. He doesn't get sucked into the flow of the play at all. Just drops right back out there, right into it. Both he and Kerry Barlow. Talley ends up throwing it away.
By the time that ball was thrown, there were 7 Auburn defenders covering the pass. On 3rd down 8 now, Preston Jones. Number 9, Wiley, had a great chance to pick that off had it been just a little bit lower. So the Bulldogs don't get it done again. It'll be 4th down. Hester into punt with Auburn leading 10-0.
That's a timing type of, that's a partner type of pattern, that option route. And you have to be able to think in advance, see where the defender is lined up on your receiver, and know what that receiver is going to do. And it's hard for Jones because he just doesn't work that much with the receivers in game situations.
5th punt of the day for Joey Hester. Make it the 4th punt of the day. Wasden, who had a 35-yard return last time, catches it at his 19, gets only a yard this time. First man down for Georgia, 48, Fred Cook, with 9:49 remaining in the first half. Georgia trailing 10-0 in the 3 Georgia losses to South Carolina, Tennessee, and Ole Miss. Georgia had trailed by 10. Came back in all of those games, but eventually lost them. This is 1st down 10 Auburn at the 20-yard line. Darrell Williams and Teapot Brown in the backfield. Here's Darrell Williams, right side. out to the 23, and here's Ron Thulin.
Bob, James Joseph, the tailback, has a deep thigh bruise in his right thigh. They have now put ice on it. He has tried to come back and play a couple of plays, but he's not able to. The trainers have told me it's just a wait-and-see time now. In fact, they're not sure if he's going to be able to play the rest of the afternoon. Going to try to stretch it out, and we'll have to wait. Bob?
Thanks, Ron. James Joseph had 34 yards on 7 carries, and Darrell Williams, who came in to replace him, has 31 on 6 carries. Not much lost in terms of production thus far. Second down, 7. Williams again, his 7th carry. Strong runner for a small man, 5'9", 190. Mike Steele making the stop for Georgia, one of those 13 true freshmen who are playing.
And you can see Williams trying to always looking to the backside, always trying to escape through that back door and cut it back out to the wide side of the field, trying to get a cutoff block from one of his offensive linemen to open the hole up away from the action, trying to work against that tremendous Georgia pursuit.
Third down, 2. Auburn. Slack completes it for the first down out to the 43-yard line to Victor Hall. A gain of 14 yards, and Hall now with 3 catches for 37 yards on the day. Slack having an outstanding afternoon, 7 out of 9 for 77 yards.
See Slack coming out. He's looking downfield first. It wasn't there. Hall worked his way free across the coverage. Lewis takes him down, but Hall had 3 big catches in that last drive against Florida, and he's really emerging as a receiver.
On the first down, they hand it to Stacy Danley, who had lined up as the front man in the eye. Alex Strong started the game at fullback for Auburn. Strong playing with torn cartilage in his ribs, and we're going to see James Joseph and Darrell Williams in there together, with Joseph being the fullback with his injury. Now Danley playing up in the front of the eye. And Alex Strong will get some playing time, but he's playing hurt today. Strong, number 40, in there now at fullback. Second down, 6. Williams, nice hole. First down, Auburn. Up front, Auburn getting the job done.
Yes, they are, and that Georgia's giving them some different looks. That time they blitzed Torrey Evans off tackle, you see him coming, number 45. Ed King stays at home, picks him off, and Strong leads on the middle linebacker, and they're just right now executing very well. See, now Richard Bell, he's a defensive coordinator. Georgia would like to get more pressure, would like to take those chances more often, but then of course he thinks, well, I took a chance and they threw a 20-yard touchdown pass on us, so let's make them drive the ball.
First down by inches, but first down nevertheless. You see the difference in the offense here. 160 yards for Auburn, only 94 for Georgia thus far. 43 of those yards in the air and 51 in the ground. 10-0 Auburn. 7:12 to go, first half. From the 48-yard line, the Bulldogs. Slack swings it out to Stacy Danley. Dives down to the 43. Demetrius Douglas tripped him up. At the beginning of the year, Tim, as you look at some other scores, I thought Auburn could go undefeated this year, even though they do have the toughest schedule in the SEC. But some injuries have played a part in that, and particularly injuries for players who continue playing, like Reggie Slack with his sore knee as an example.
Exactly, and then the emergence of some other teams, I think, that were unexpected. Obviously, Tennessee has exploded onto the scene.
And Alabama playing better than anticipated. Darrell Williams, penalty markers down. Williams gets the first down to the 35-yard line, but the penalty markers were thrown at the offensive line of scrimmage. It's been a very error-free ball game thus far. Auburn leads the league in fewest penalty yards, only averaging about 30 a game.
Holding, offensive line, 10 yards.
They'll get 10 here.
Let's watch Ed King here, number 67. He locks on. That looks like a pretty big, good block. Now, his arm might have got some jersey on Bill Goldberg. It's hard to tell. You know, when you get into those, you might be able to make a holding call on any play. What the official tries to do is say, if this is flagrant, way outside the parameter of the body, we got to call it. And Ed, we're not saying it was you.
Even though we're showing your picture. Second down, 15. Pressure on Slack. That's Danley with the ball. Look at the run. to the 43-yard line, still short of the first down. Douglas made the stop, but a nice job of running after the catch, getting 10 yards by Stacy Danley.
You know, as Pat Sullivan talks about Reggie Slack, he feels like he's got a chance to be a #1 draft choice. He says he's got everything you need. He's got good feet. He understands the game. He doesn't take unnecessary chances with the ball. And right there, holding it long enough to get that screen set up and then dumping it out there. I think you can understand that Pat's a little prejudiced towards Slack, but he certainly has done a fine job for Auburn.
5 defensive backs for Georgia. There's the quarterback draw. Slack gets the first down, and he brings that extra dimension down to the 30-yard line. A gain of 13 yards on the quarterback draw. Mike Jones made the tackle for the Bulldogs.
And here you see Slack using his athletic ability and his foot quickness. King trapping there, staying locked on, walling that man out. Torrey Evans tries to get in there, but Slack just slips through. You know, in a winning football team, they say the quarterback gets too much of the credit, and Reggie can tell you he knows they get too much of the blame when things aren't going well. And the coaches try to protect those athletes.
Slack to toss this time. Plenty of time again. To the sideline. Incomplete. Thought there might be a penalty marker coming out there. Intended for Alexander Wright. No flag on the play.
And that time he had George Wynn isolated on the outside with Alexander Wright Slack looking for the outside pattern. It wasn't there. Then he came back to Victor Hall, who already has 4 catches in the game. That time, though, Kurt Douglas was locked up on Victor Hall. He didn't have it, and so Slack wisely threw it out of bounds. Good play by George Wynn. I'm sorry.
Sophomore from Atlanta. Second down, 10 from the 30. Comes the blitz. Slack's in some trouble. Breaking free to the 22-yard line. Horace Thompson with the stop for Georgia. Tim, speaking of Horace Thompson, your view on the effect that Norman Cowens has mononucleosis, not in there at the right outside linebacker for Georgia today.
Well, I would say that this Georgia defense has probably the finest set of outside linebackers. When you talk about Mo Lewis, 10 sacks from one side coming at you, Norman Cowens, 7 sacks the other side coming at you. So it's a significant decrease in performance. Although you may have the talent, you don't have the chemistry.
Third down 2 from the 22. The audible from Slack. Excellent protection. It is complete at the 14 to Alexander Wright. Pedro Cherry, check that, number 28, the freshman. Gain of 8 yards, first down Auburn.
Here once again you see Slack getting him into the right situation and good protection. If you're going to come after him, if you're Georgia and you're going to come after him, you have to create more heat than that. We saw Pedro Cherry make his first reception of his career, a 36-yard touchdown against Kentucky.
Until then, he had only 1 since then. Only 2. Now he's had 3 on the year. Hasn't had a lot of playing time. Auburn continues their drive. We'll be back. Auburn leading 10-0 on the drive again and have totally dominated the second quarter. In the game, more than 200 yards total offense for Auburn, less than 100 for Georgia, and look at the difference in possession time.
It's been a remarkable quarter for the Auburn Tigers. Everything's been working for them. Georgia trying to get a wrench in the works here.
Darrell Williams to the 11 where he is stopped. Auburn leading at 10-0 with 3:44 remaining in the first half. The Georgia offense has just been stymied. They've had the ball just slightly over 1 minute. Pat Sullivan's team's been out there running up and down the field. The touchdown drive was an 80-yard drive.
Well, they've got the mix that they want to. They're getting the play action on first down. They're completing that. They haven't had drop balls. Only 1 real penalty and a couple of great efforts by the running backs. Good catch by Taylor.
Here comes the blitz again. Slack sprinting out to throw. And he hits Strong to the 1-yard line. Alex Strong. George Wynn made the tackle. Gain of 10. Every time Georgia's sent the blitz, Slack has made him pay. Demetrius Douglas came in, 53 among others.
and they're just not getting the pressure. They're just not making it work. You see John Hudson slide over and get that stab block, and Rob Selby did the same thing. Just a great job of sliding off and making a play.
2:52 to go first half. First down goal at the 1-yard line. Full house. Darrell Williams. Touchdown, Auburn. Darrell Williams gets the touchdown on a 1-yard plunge.
They'll run a trap here. Strong's leading it. Ed King pulling to try to get a crack, and he just barely got across.
Win Lyle for the point after. Auburn putting a whipping on these Bulldogs in the first half. 17-0. And Georgia has had the ball only slightly over a minute in this entire second quarter. Auburn leading Georgia 17-0. You see that SEC champion banner in 1959. Pat Dye, Auburn's coach, played on that Georgia football team. But here it's been all Auburn this afternoon. Skip Ellison, our producer, Georgia grad, said the Bulldogs are just setting Auburn up. Some setup. Arthur Marshall across midfield to the 49-yard line. Make it the 48-yard line of the Auburn Tigers. A kickoff return of 32 yards. There's the setup. The Bulldogs now with excellent field position, really for the first time all day.
Oh, when you hit a kickoff like this, the idea is you're trying to get it into the hands of a tight end or a fullback out there that can't do much damage. But Arthur Marshall scoops up there, pulls the ball down, and almost went all the way.
Preston Jones continues quarterbacking the Bulldogs. Makes the pitch. Is going to throw. Sean Hummings, it's picked off. Bad throw. That's John Wiley with it. Preston Jones, the freshman, throws the interception. So as the Bulldogs get the momentum builder with Arthur Marshall, they get the momentum breaker with the interception. And Wiley with his second interception of the year.
You know, they've been interception thin, this Auburn Tiger secondary, and Jones lets this one get away. They're trying to get it to Warner. He was covered, and Hummings had not run John Wiley out of there. Wiley looking back into the quarterback, reacted on a throw. I think what Jones was trying to do is throw it over Warner's head and out of play.
Georgia leads the conference in takeaways and giveaways, but here today, Georgia gives it away early. Mike Steele makes the stop on Darrell Williams. Auburn has just been dominating the game offensively. 2 80-yard scoring drives. This is the last one. 7 minutes on the clock on that one.
And as you pointed out before, Bob, a great mix of the run and the pass. And, you know, whenever you're giving the offense a choice, if they stay in that run-pass situation, 2nd and 5, 3rd and 4, then you're going to have a problem on defense.
Deep drop. He completes this one for the first down. Did he hold on to it? Yes, they'll mark his forward progress out here at the 34-yard line, or right near the first down marker. Greg Taylor was the man who caught the ball. It's almost exactly going into that play 110 yards in the air, 108 on the ground for Auburn. And look at this quarter. Georgia with 2 yards of total offense.
Well, actually, the quarter started with Auburn on a long drive. Georgia ran 1 series. All they ran was 3 plays, and then bang. Auburn's got the ball again for another 7 minutes and 6 seconds.
And that, too, was a first down from the 33-yard line now. Slack with a lot of time to throw the ball today. This time, pretty good pressure on Slack, though, and thus the incompletion. Slack ended up on his back. Randy Wolford, the freshman, came in right up the middle. Coming up at halftime, the Georgia Pacific halftime report. Craig Sager will have the scores and highlights. Greg will take a look at the broken records in college football this year. We'll also hear from both the Auburn and Georgia bands, all coming up at halftime. 1 minute 27 seconds of playing time from now. Auburn leading 17-0.
Wolford getting some pressure there. You see now Reggie Slack's jersey is dirty for the first time. Now in the past several games, he's taken a lot of pressure.
loss on the play here. Mo Lewis came back to make the stop on Stacy Danley. Auburn's been able to convert those third downs this afternoon, however, whenever they've needed to. They're 6 out of 8 on third down conversions. They'll have a third down 11, a difficult situation here.
All-time leading passer for Auburn, Pat Sullivan. Talking to Pat Dye. Larry Blakeney's on the other end of that conversation up there, a former Auburn quarterback. That look says it all sometimes, right?
Third down 11 on the 32. It's like, well, okay, we'll try it if it's what you think. Slack rolls left, throws left, completes it to Taylor, who's knocked down at the 39. Wilson makes the stop. That is short of the first down. With 1:08 to go in the ball game, Auburn may have to punt the ball away. It's going to be 4th and substantial yardage. Georgia calls a timeout to stop the clock with 1:05.
It's like that story we heard about Bobby Bowden talking to his offensive coordinator Art Baker a few years ago. Wanted Art to throw a pass to the tight end coming across. It looks good, Art. Call that. Bobby, that linebacker's dropping back in there. I don't think so. Art, I think it's going to be good. I want you to call that. So he calls it. The pass is intercepted. In 4 minutes of silence, and finally Bobby Bowden comes back on and says, "Hey, Art, I see what you mean about that linebacker."
Don't forget, Tim and I will be in speaking of Bobby Bowden, either in Gainesville, Florida to see Florida State and the Gators, or in Knoxville to see Vanderbilt and Tennessee 2 weeks from today, cross-state rivals in one of those games, Saturday, 12:30 Eastern Time on December 2nd. The home of UGA. 1:05 to go in the first half. Auburn leading 17-0. Barefoot punter Richie Nell in, and Arthur Marshall is back for Georgia. It's Nell's second punt of the day. There's it. Marshall at the 17. Good coverage by Auburn. Marshall had nothing to do but turn it up and get a couple of yards each to the 22. Gain of 3 after the reception. 44-yard punt. Georgia has 54 seconds and 1 timeout remaining in this half to try to move the ball downfield and get something on the scoreboard.
They've got Preston Jones in the game. I talked to George Hafner. In the second half of the Florida game, Talley was not really on track and then threw an interception. I thought they might go to Jones, but he said, hey, you got to stick with the guy. He got his confidence.
Well, that's not going to help the confidence of Preston Jones. He's now 0 for 4 with 1 interception, and he's been wearing Auburn jerseys all afternoon. Ogletree was the man who came back there to hit him.
And Ogletree this year probably is the best, I would say, the best outside linebacker in the SEC. That time he beat Brian Cleveland, but he can beat you with speed, he can beat you with leverage, he can beat you with quickness. Had an interception last week and returned the ball 15 yards. Just a good all-around linebacker.
49 seconds to go in the half. Preston Jones finds Kirk Warner. Kirk Warner gets out of bounds after he gets the first down to the 35-yard line with 41 seconds remaining in the half, a gain of 14 yards.
Preston Jones has the heat to be able to throw the deep outside pattern, to get the ball down the field in a hurry. Greg Talley can pick away at you, but he doesn't have the arm strength that this young man from South Carolina has.
Preston's big, too. 6'3", 220 pounds. Somewhat in the mold of another former Georgia quarterback, coaching now, by the name of Ray Goff, in terms of size. There's that long arm looking for Marshall. Double coverage, incomplete at the 23. Double coverage and then triple coverage on Arthur Marshall. D'Amico Anderson, Barlow, Wallace, all down there for the Tigers. One of the Tigers slow to get up. Looks like Dennis Wallace, number 30, the strong safety. It is, in fact, Dennis Wallace, a junior from Carrollton, Georgia. 33 seconds to go in the half. Auburn just laying a whooping on these dogs, 17-0 here in the first half.
Jones lays it up there. Marshall waiting to go up. D'Amico Anderson right on top of it. And it looks like Wallace fell over Corey Barlow.
Wallace walking off on his own power.
Which is good to see. You know, Domingo Anderson is getting his first start, Bob, in his career. 2 games to go, and Pat Dye is just rewarding the young man for being a team player throughout the years, been a 5th defensive back, been a real competitor on special teams, and just the kind of guy that you want to have around. Domingo Anderson.
You see the pass defense of Auburn, which today has allowed 43 yards from Talley, only 14 from Jones, leads the nation. That was thrown to a big open space. Kirk Warner, the closest Georgia receiver, and this young man struggling in his action today. Only 1 of 7 for 14 yards and an interception is Preston Jones. 28 seconds to go in the half. It'll be 3rd down 10, Georgia.
Pat Dye has to be happy with what he's seeing as he is standing next to Steve Dennis, who's calling for a timeout. That's a secondary coach for the Auburn Tigers. They're thinking they may have a chance to get the ball back again and do some more damage before the end of the half.
Georgia with only 1 first down and only 16 yards this whole quarter. Hampton thrown for a big loss in the backfield. Ran right into the waiting arms of David Rocker, the younger brother of Tracy, who's in the pros now. Davidson Jr. Auburn's going to get their timeout. It's 4th down, so Auburn's going to have an opportunity to try something, probably from not too far from midfield here, leading 17-0. Pat Dye knows that 17-0 isn't something you can take to the bank at halftime.
And he has kind of taken the wraps off his offense in this game. I think against Florida, he went into it conservatively. When he's cornered, Pat is a type of guy that has built his early reputation on the wishbone and running the football, and you know, Pat Sullivan obviously trying to sell him on throwing the ball, but when things get tough, Pat believes in old-time football, and that's just hard-nosed, drive it out, knock them down, control the ball, score points, and he has certainly been successful throughout his career.
He said yesterday, talked to him when they came up to work out over here, 2 things he said. I said, how about Georgia's balance? He says, Bob, you know as well as I do, we have to stop Rodney Hampton. He's the heck with balance. And he said, for us, we do need balance in the game. He said, I do want to loosen it up, throw the ball a little more to move against Georgia, because he feels that is, if there's a vulnerability to Georgia. Pat Dye felt that it would be in using slack sprint out ability and being able to throw the ball. And it's working so far for 126 yards in the air in this half. Nestor gets it away. It's going to take an Auburn bounce here at the 40-yard line. 9-8 seconds remaining in the first half, and Auburn will have some opportunity to try something. Only a 27-yard punt that time.
Well, they went after it, and that's one of the things they're trying to create some pressure, but they're trying to block that punt. They wanted a shot to block the punt before the half, and now you've got time for 1 deep throw. They may even just snap the ball and kneel down on it.
3 wideouts to the right side and 1 to the left side.
They've got the speed balls in there. They're going to let it fly.
Slack throws the interception. Unbelievable that he threw it over there. It was Mo Lewis who runs out of bounds with the double zeros. You figure that one out. A return of 24 yards as the half ends. Well, Tim, you're the guy who gets to figure this out.
You know, our producer, Skip Ellison, a Georgia graduate, last game with Turner Broadcasting, and he's going to show you a Georgia highlight. I don't know.
The only one of this
I can't
quarter.
think of why Reggie would do that. I mean, he was running 3 guys out, last play of the game, let it fly, but it didn't light up the halftime. Maybe it's a lead into the halftime performance. I'm not sure.
Skip said they were setting them up. Halftime score here, Auburn 17, Georgia nothing. Now to bring you up to date on all the other college football action, here's Craig. Auburn leads 17-0 in the second quarter. Auburn kept the ball 13 minutes, gained 178 yards, and even more importantly than that, kept the ball away from Rodney Hampton. Auburn hasn't done very much wrong at all in this game.
No, if it wasn't for the last play of the first half, you could say that Auburn had played a perfect half. They've just been mixing the run and the pass so well, people catching the ball, and their offensive line doing a fantastic job protecting Reggie Slack against the pressure of the Georgia blitz.
Speaking of Georgia, I wonder what went on in the locker room. Let's go to our colleague on the sideline, Ron Thulin. Ron?
Bob, it was an interesting locker room. It was not your Newt Rockney, rah, 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 let's get them fired up emotionally. It was more of a mental type locker room. They were telling the guys what went wrong, why they are losing 17-0. And of course, course, they're trying to figure out, Tim, as you said, how to get Reggie Slack's uniform dirty, and I think that's going to be the key in the second half.
Vince Dooley watching the game today, Georgia athletic director. Casually attired in his sweater, just a few feet away from us at our broadcast booth here. Kind of a busman's holiday, you might say. Vince counting the tickets in the house. Part of the job of the athletic director. 17-0 Auburn. Of course, Vince Dooley played at Auburn. Pat Dye played at Georgia. There's a lot of mixture between the two schools in the tradition and history on both staffs. On the kickoff, here comes Alexander Wright. To the 28-yard line, tripped up by 35 Kevin Brown, and Auburn will take over the ball, leading in the game 17-0. The first half stats brought to you by Gatorade Thirst Quencher. 19 minutes. Gant made the stop there. Georgia probably headed to the Peach Bowl in Atlanta. Matter of fact, they are headed to the Peach Bowl in Atlanta. And Auburn, almost no matter what happens in the SEC, if Auburn wins out and beats Alabama, Auburn would have a share of the title. But the word is that Alabama would go to the Sugar Bowl anyway, is what we hear, and Auburn would go to the Hall of Fame Bowl down in Tampa. Tennessee says they're going to the Cotton Bowl.
Well, if Auburn wins the rest of their games, it's going to be interesting for the Cotton Bowl because they would have a choice then between Auburn and Tennessee. And
for the Sugar, you mean? Right. First down. Oh, excuse me. For the Cotton Bowl.
What you mean. Right, yeah.
That is what you meant. Reggie Slack going deep. Wide open. Alexander Wright. Nobody near him. They get him at the 1-yard line. Blown coverage by Georgia. A gain of 44 yards. There's a penalty marker against Auburn. Hold everything. That's going to come back. The flag in the Auburn offensive backfield. Well, 17-0's a big enough lead.
Slipping on the offense, 15 yards. Replay the down.
And had that gotten into the end zone, it could really have put it away for Auburn.
Let's watch the right tackle here, number 78, Rod Selby. And, of course, he's playing on a bad ankle. Coming around the corner there is Mo Lewis, and he pushes him in the back, and that was the call. And this is the second touchdown that Alexander Wright, well, it wasn't really a touchdown. He had a touchdown call back against Florida, but second long gainer that he's had retrieved.
Pat Dye felt the Georgia secondary was vulnerable. They have been just that today. Now it's 1st and 25 after the clipping call. Back at the 40-yard line of Auburn. New life for Georgia. Darrell Williams gets about 3 or 4 out to the 44-yard line. We're talking about bowl games. You look at Pat Sullivan and the Auburn coaches, Tim, the bowls are picking so early that you just don't know what can happen. And you're right, the Cotton Bowl could be in a very unusual situation.
In the sense they have Tennessee and Auburn to choose from. Two fine football teams, but I agree with you. Alabama is going to the Sugar Bowl.
Bowl scouts here today. Lehman Bennett, former Falcons coach, is here. He's representing the Peach Bowl where Georgia is headed. 4 wideouts for Reggie Slack. Tosses over the middle, complete to Taylor. Tight coverage that time, and Taylor goes down quickly in the arms of 57, Mo Lewis. There's Lehman Bennett, center, with his very youthful appearance still. One of the classiest, finest men in pro football. I was broadcasting the Atlanta Falcons during his tenure there, and the Falcons made a big mistake in firing him, in my humble opinion. They won 12 games in 1980. 3rd down, 17. The Bulldog faithful having something to cheer about here, hoping to stop Auburn. 4 wideouts again. Slack tosses it to Alex Strong, the fullback, who doesn't get enough for the first down to the 41-yard line of Georgia. Lewis with the stop. So Auburn will have to give up the football, even though they gained 10 on that play. Talking to Richard Bell before the game, he's kind of a button-em-up
button your chin straps up and go after him. He likes pressure. He likes bump and run. He likes close man-to-man coverage. But as you pointed out, Bob, and he knows they just don't have the people to play that kind of defense, but occasionally you get in that situation where you have to.
Fair catch at the 13 by Marshall. Punt of 28 yards. We'll be back in a moment. The Bulldogs with an opportunity, a rare opportunity on offense. Game's very important to anybody who's a college football fan, but there are things more important, like the welfare of some of the youngsters who play this. Roy Lee, Chucky Mullins, paralyzed in a football injury at Ole Miss. If you'd like to contribute to the trust fund, there's the address. Post Office Box 249, University, Mississippi. That's near Oxford. 38677. You see where to make the check payable. Chucky Mullins will have to have permanent care for his football injury, and you can help. Auburn's defense rising up and stopping Rodney Hampton behind the line. Darrell Crawford made the tackle.
Well, that defensive front for Auburn has been running out of control. They're just upfield, and they're aggressive, and they're tearing people around. You see Walter Tate throwing his 310 around and grabs a hold of Rodney Hampton before he really gets a chance to get it in gear.
This will be second down and 10. They'll spot it right at the original line of scrimmage. Walter Tate, a true freshman from Decatur, Georgia, suburb of Atlanta, said he went to Auburn because he knows of all the pro prospects there. Talley back in at quarterback now for Georgia. Can't find anybody. He has to run it out to the 16 where he takes a pounding. Fernando Horn making the stop. Georgia just couldn't get it done in the first half. As you see, not much happened. The best thing that happened was when Georgia punted. Another time, the interception.
1 9-play drive. That's as much as they could put together, and that's just a strong defense from these Auburn Tigers.
This is third down 6. Talley. Incomplete, intended for Hampton. A really nice defensive play by Quentin Riggins, who just batted it out of his hands. And Georgia 3 downs and out again. So Preston Jones, who came into the second quarter for Georgia, was 1 of 7 passing. Talley back in here in the third quarter, only 4 out of 9 for 43 yards. All of that came in the first quarter.
Reminiscent of the old Auburn defenses of the late 60s, led by that stellar Dolphin player, Captain Crunch, Mike Kohler. Or Eagle.
Esther with a good punt. Shane Wasden's had a 35-yard return earlier. Gets this one at the 29. Georgia's going to get him this time, though, at the 27. Going to be a loss. 56-yard punt and a loss of 3 on the return. Max Strong, the first man down for the Bulldogs.
Move. It is a very emotional sideline, and Bill Goldberg, the big defensive tackle, is the one leading all the cheers. He's limping around and he's yelling, hitting people on the helmet. He's ready to play, Bob Neal.
Well, he better be. They're trailing 17-0 with 8:28 to go in the third quarter.
You know, if you're an older guy, or you're trying to ignite your teammates, especially when you're a senior and you're getting down toward the end of your career, you certainly don't want to end it between the hedges like this.
Auburn's had the ball 18 of the last 22 minutes. Darrell Williams, about 9 on that carry off the right tackle. The most telling thing about Goldberg may not be his cheerleading on the sideline, but the fact he can't play very much today because of his ankle, and the true freshman George Brewer has had to go the route.
And they're trying to keep him out of the game. I'm not sure how effective he is when he goes in, but he keeps putting himself back in, and that time he's going in there for Mike Steele. And as we mentioned, he had a problem all year long with a rotator cuff, and that was augmented by an ankle injury, and it's just been tough for him to play today.
Second down 1 for the Tigers. Stacy Danley gets the first down to the 42-yard line. Kirk Douglas with a stop for Georgia.
That time Auburn running away from Bill Goldberg. You see him just having to plant, just having to kind of hop a little bit. Really can't plant, drive, and go like we've seen him do throughout the year. But you know, he can be proud of his performance not only today but throughout his career here at Georgia. They're going to miss him a lot.
From the 42-yard line of the Tigers, first down. Play fake, and Slack's going to go to the air. Long, wide open is Greg Taylor. Ben Smith wrestles him down inside the 5. And the Georgia secondary is being riddled today. A gain of 53 on that play. And Slack goes over 200 yards in the air.
Now, once again, this is a completion and credited to the Auburn offensive line. They're sending both wide receivers down the sideline. They got the tight end going down the middle. You see Slack looks to the tight end. That draws Ben Smith over and takes him away from Taylor. But if you don't have time to set that up, you can never make that play. See, he knew Ben Smith was laying in the weeds, going to pick it off. If he tried to throw it down the middle to the tight end, sucked him over, threw it down the sideline. Good play by Slack.
First and goal at the 5. Darrell Williams cuts it inside. His knee touched down before he got into the end zone. It is not a touchdown. Auburn leading 17-0 and about to expand on the lead on the 53-yard pass to Greg Taylor.
So the first throw that they're going to make on that double zone, Bob, is to the outside. They're going to try to hit the fade, but as the play develops, you don't expect them to throw it deep to the outside. And so, as a safety, you start drifting toward the middle. That time, Slack went back to the outside for the completion.
On the second down and goal from the 1, once again, the Bulldogs hold Auburn out. So now it's going to be third down. That was Alex Strong trying to score. Well, Pat Dye said yesterday he felt that the Georgia secondary would be vulnerable. And he said, we've been working on it. We know what we want to do against that secondary. As you pointed out, with that upfront play of the offensive line, the play calling looks even better because they have time to execute.
Exactly, because they're buying time for the receivers, for those patterns to clear areas, and Slack is unharassed.
Third down goal from the 1. Darrell Williams hit in the backfield. The Bulldogs stop him after the 53-yard pass to the 1-yard line, to the 5, and then the run to the 1. The Bulldog defense stiffens, and Auburn's not going to get a touchdown out of this.
Watch number 26, Ben Smith. He's been kind of held harmless. They haven't thrown the ball much down the middle, but here he sneaks around. Fullback Alex Strong to make the play. Had on the numbers, big play by a man that's had a fine career here at Georgia. 8 interceptions, Ben Smith.
21-yard field goal attempt by Win Lyle. It is good, and Auburn leads 20-0, but it's not as bad as the Bulldogs expected after the 53-yard pass play to Greg Taylor. 5:15 to go, third quarter. 20-0 with 5:15 to go in the third quarter, but had it down on the 1-yard line of Georgia. The Bulldog defense with a real character-building stand there, Tim. I don't know what kind of effect that might have on the Georgia football team.
Well, they thought Auburn thought they had it in on first down, and then Georgia came back, and Ben Smith came up with a big play on third down. And, you know, any coach is, Pat Dye is no different. When they get it down there inside the 2, they like to get 6.
Von Weil kicking off to Arthur Marshall at the 4. Marshall down the sideline. Out to about the 38-yard line. A return of 33 yards. Jim Von Weil, the kicker, came over to make the play. There's the scoring drive. 69 yards, 7 plays. The big one, of course, the 53-yard completion to Greg Taylor from Reggie Slack. And Slack today, 202 yards, 18 of 22, 1 TD, 1 interception. He's had a brilliant day, save for that half-closing interception on the last play of the first half. Talley over the middle to Sean Hummings, who holds on to it after juggling at the 46, combining to tackle him, Dennis Wallace and Corey Barlow.
Let's watch Hummings work. Barlow getting the call, Wallace moving to the outside, giving him a lot of room, giving him a lot of space, break on the ball, and make him pay. That's the idea. Hummings pulls it down. A good throw by Greg Talley. And I think the philosophy here, Bob, is to maintain the ball. Forget about the score right now. Let's get something going.
Talley, deep drop and time. He can't find anybody. Then releases to Hampton for a gain of about 7 or 8. Riggins with the tackle. So those 2 pass completions are the first completions and first yardage gain by Talley since the first quarter of this ball game.
Superior defense by Auburn. That time, Talley trying to go to Kurt Warner. Usually a tight end can get open between those linebackers, but they just squeezed it shut. Riggins and Crawford, and he finally had to dump it to Hampton.
Second down, 3 Bulldogs from the 39 of Auburn, trailing 20-0. Talley again with some time. Has a man open. Kurt Warner out of bounds at the 8.5-yard line. A gain of 31 yards, and the Bulldogs quickly moving downfield after the goal line stand.
And this is what Ray Goff wants to see from his Georgia team. Let's not fold it up. We stunk so far. Let's get going. And he rifles that ball in there. That's a floater type of throw that he had to put some heat on because Billingsley was in such good shape again.
First and goal from the 9. Maxwell in motion. Hampton's going to run it on the right side to the 6-yard line. Rodney Hampton. Ogletree with the stop for Auburn. 3:52 to go, third quarter, 20-0 Auburn. Georgia desperately wanted to get this ball in the end zone, which would effectively get them back in the game.
Rada doesn't have the headsets on, but keeping up the speed on every play that George Hafner calls, and George just trying to find something that works.
Second down, goal from the 6. Talley to throw, walks it into the end zone for Cummings, incomplete. Great catch, though, but he was out of the end zone. Great play by Cummings.
Well, he just kept going up, didn't he? I thought that ball was way overthrown, and Sean Cummings came up to make a great catch. Ogletree makes that play. He turns it in, stops it right now. Barlow in wonderful shape, but Cummings makes the catch, but out of the end zone.
Third down, goal from the 6. Auburn sending a lot of players. Talley's going to toss it into the back of the end zone. Nobody's there. Incomplete. It'll be 4th down, 6. Now at this point of the game, trailing 20-0 with 3:15 to go in the third quarter. Coach Foley, go ahead and get your 3.
Down in this part of the field, when you got a guy with Greg Talley's feet, you want to get him moving, give him so he's got the option to run or pass. That time it was wide open going in. And it looked like it was, but understand that these Auburn Tigers can close the gap in a hurry. Talley chose to try to pick up somebody coming along the back of the end zone, and that's the decision that's his and that he has to make. It's a judgment call, and wasn't able to stick it in there. And the folks here are a little bit upset about Georgia going for 3.
Of the century, Faye Dunaway and Warren Beatty are Bonnie and Clyde. 11:50 Eastern on TBS tonight.
Here you see number 12, Arthur Marshall in the slot. He's going to come down and stagger and then break to the inside. Rodney Hampton is going to try to get by Craig Ogletree, but look at the job the linebacker does on him. Jams him, stays with him. John Wiley comes off. Barlow is there. There's no place for Talley to go with the football, and finally he tried to get somebody coming in over the baseline of the end zone there, and Brian Cleveland, but to no avail.
18 was Alexander Wright, back deep for Auburn. Casey kicks it in and out of the end zone. He can certainly do that.
You know, Bob, this Auburn defense has only given up 1 touchdown pass all year. They were the only team in the nation that hadn't given up a touchdown pass going into last week's game. They gave one up in the 4th quarter, basically after the game was over, to Louisiana Tech. So they're an excellent pass secondary team, but they're especially effective inside the 20.
Well, this Georgia defensive unit has to be tired. They've been on the field so much today, particularly in the second quarter. Let's see how they hold Auburn here. 20-3. Tigers leading. 3:11 to go. Third quarter. Creeping up for the blitz comes Georgia. Slack reads it. Hits his tight end Victor Hall for a significant gain. Out here to the 38-yard line. Mo Lewis made the stop. A gain of 18. Every time Georgia has tried to get to Slack today, he's burned him. Reggie Slack is 19 of 23 today.
This is simply a missed assignment. They're coming after him here, as you can see. Nobody's in the middle of the field. So It's been a tough afternoon for Richard Bell's defense here. You know, they're trying everything they can to find something that breaks through to Reggie Slack. They haven't found anything yet.
Slack gives it to Darrell Williams. Out to about the 42-yard line. Demetrius Douglas with the stop. 2:34 to go, third quarter. Florida State in the first quarter out in front of Memphis State. 10-3. Florida State headed to the Fiesta Bowl.
And then again, you talk about the difficulty of being able to keep a young team emotionally intense after such big victories, and the win last week over Florida, and then now they know they're going to the Peach Bowl, and that might have diffused them a little bit emotionally.
Handoff to Stacy Danley, who gets to the 46-yard line. It'll bring third and short for the Auburn Tigers with 2 minutes to go, third quarter. Goldberg made the tackle that time. Danley's been playing with an injured right shoulder. James Joseph, the starting tailback for Auburn, went out with a thigh injury in the first quarter, has not returned to the game. Williams and Danley have carried the load since then. Third down and a long one. They'll call it third down 2. Darrell Williams gets the pitch and the first fumble. Bulldogs ball at the 45, but wait, there's a penalty marker on the field. Williams fumbled, Bulldogs recovered, and a penalty marker is down, holding against Auburn. It'll be Bulldogs ball.
They got the left tackle, number 64, Anthony Brown, for holding here. Watch him, number 64, the bottom lineman on your screen there. He's got a hold of Goldberg's jersey, and they finally call it. Gant gets on the ball as it's torn out by Georgia.
Bulldogs, who just had the long drive for the field goal, another opportunity. Rodney Hampton. Oh, he got about 3. Looked like there was going to be a nice 7 or 8 yard hole. And then, hello, Darrell Crawford. Put his 230 pounds on him. Rodney Hampton has been worked over today. Only 2.8 yards per carry. 10 carries for 28 yards.
Over the last 4 games, Rodney Hampton has carried the ball an average of 31 times. He really hasn't gotten into his rhythm here.
Talley sprinting to throw, have to tuck it up and run and slide down at the 45, right past the first down stick. What a heads-up player. You know, we talk about Greg Talley as though he is the wizened old leader on this Georgia team as the quarterback, because Preston Jones, a freshman, he's a sophomore. Talley's only 19 years old himself. Matter of fact, he just turned 20, but nevertheless.
But he played down in Valdosta, you know.
He was experienced when he was 11.
That's right. They were grooming him for this for a long time.
First down, Bulldogs. Marshall in motion. Play fake to Hampton. Talley looking for Homings. Nice grab. Then incomplete. Did not have it long enough for a completion at the 25. Corey Barlow covering. May have raked it loose. I gave him credit for a nice grab before he came down with it.
It was a nice grab, Bob, but Corey Barlow negated this catch. Ogletree working to get there. He makes the catch, and Barlow comes down and strips it out. Good defensive play. For the sophomore.
Second down 10 from the 45. Talley. Some trouble again. They're going to get him this time. Back here near midfield at the 49 of Georgia. Lamar Rogers from Alabama. That's the end of the third quarter. Bulldogs ball, trailing 20-3. Ready for the fourth quarter. Auburn leading 20-3. Georgia has the ball, third down 13, along with Tim Foley. This is Bob Neal and our very efficient booth crew. Kim Anderson, player identification statistics. Alex Vergara and the woman who runs it all, Rose Smith. Third down 13 from the 48-yard line. It's Hampton in motion. Talley, nowhere to go. It just caved in on him. Nobody to throw to, no place to run. Quentin Riggins, David Rocker were there.
like for Greg Talley. They're man-to-man in the secondary as Riggins breaks loose. And as you mentioned, David Rocker. Talley had no one open, no one close to open. Good job again of coverage by the secondary for Auburn.
Joey Hester averaging a little more than 42 yards per punt today. And it's going to be another beauty. Fair catch being signaled for by Wasden. He lets it go. It gets a bounce, and it's saved. No, they say it's a touchback. Looked like it was saved, but the referee, the official, was right on the spot. A 53-yard punt by Hester. Said the Georgia player got into the end zone before he tossed that ball back out of there. It'll come out to the 20.
The way that works, Bob, is if your foot is in the end zone, then it's in the end zone. If you leave your feet in the field of play and bat the ball, which is already crossed the line but hasn't touched the ground, if you bat it back, then it doesn't count as being in the end zone. It counts where it lands.
Sounds you speak of that as though you've done it.
No, I just tried to do it.
You were you had a little special teams time, I know, at the Dolphins. Auburn, fourth quarter points. You see that that's bad news for the Bulldogs. Auburn has been very dominant in the fourth quarter. Darrell Williams. There's that breakaway speed. Almost broke away that time to the 33-yard line. First down. And Darrell Williams with 107 yards this afternoon in only 21 carries.
Let's watch him work here. You see number 51, Mark Rose, getting a good block. Strong leading the way. Victor Hall, who's caught some passes, opens it up for Electron and Ben Smith. A good, solid, wrap-em-up tackle. That's what you want your safety doing.
James Joseph, starting tailback for Auburn, injured, thigh injury early in the first quarter. Darrell Williams has really done a number. This is Alexander Wright, showing some nifty moves himself out near a first down. Douglas with the stop.
Alexander Wright is the kind of guy that scares you to death on every snap because he can go deep. I mean, he holds 3 different track records, 3 different events. Just it's only been done twice in history before by somebody that doesn't play football. So as a cornerback, every time that guy lines up, you're thinking 80 yards.
Second down 2. Deep drop, Slack's going long. He's looking for Wright. But even the speed of Wright couldn't catch up to that one. Goldberg punished Reggie Slack after he got rid of the ball. But there's the deep speed of Alexander right on cue.
Let's watch it here. Wynn backing up George Wynn, starting to cross over, starting to run in plenty of time. Now, if Reggie had thrown this ball more down the middle, took a little bit off it, he was behind the free safety, Ben Smith. So, Coach, this is the fourth quarter now. We got to do this earlier in the game, this deep stuff.
Third down 2 from the 42 for Auburn. Another big stop opportunity for the Bulldogs. Slack under pressure from Goldberg, incomplete. Boy, Goldberg just stumbled. He's limping. You talk about a down and dirty trench guy. Goldberg is hurting, but he just threw a couple of guys aside, came right at Slack and forced the incompletion.
You could see him limping off the field, and he's kind of a reincarnation of a junkyard dog right there.
Norm Van Brocklin used to call players like this, with love in his heart, throwbacks, meaning like the good old days. Arthur Marshall, fair catch at the 26. So Georgia trailing this game by 17 points, 20-3, 12:51 to go, and decent field position at their 26. Darrell Williams has 107 yards today. Auburn leads 20-3, and it's time to see what you know about SEC football. Brought to you by Valvoline Motor Oil. People who know use Valvoline. What Tiger running back, there have been some great ones, had the most career rushes at Auburn? Well, the answer is Joe Cribbs. Now, he didn't have the most carries. He had the most rushes. He rushed 16 fraternities during his career. A little joke there.
Really, Bob?
Joe Cribbs.
Still 12 minutes left.
I went over better in the truck prior to the game. I need to warm up before I come out with my jokes. Preston Jones rifles it down the middle. It is complete. Arthur Marshall breaking tackles inside Auburn territory to the 48-yard line. Darrell Crawford makes the stop. A gain of 27. There's that 30-06 arm of Preston Jones.
And he can get it down the field in a hurry. There's no question about that. Let's watch Arthur Marshall work. Come down here, sits down, knows he doesn't have the deep middle. catches it in front of Wiley, keeps his feet. Finally, Darrell Crawford wraps him up.
First down 10 at the 48 now. Georgia trailing it by 17. The redshirt freshman Preston Jones down to Maxwell. Oh, he threw that one up for grabs. Incomplete and out of bounds at the 30, intended for Kevin Maxwell. Tim, I'll ask you the question. Talley is playing well in the third quarter. Fourth quarter starts, in steps the redshirt freshman Preston Jones, who struggled in the second quarter.
And I think this is just a pre-designed plan. I think Ray knows that Jones can throw the ball better, and now time becomes a real significant factor. He's got to move him down the field in a hurry. Got to get some points. Has to get some points on the board, and I think you're going to see him start to work the middle of the field more.
Second down 10. Preston Jones struggling, however, today. He's 2 out of 10 for 41 yards. Penalty markers down in the Georgia backfield. That pass was intended for Arthur Marshall. The penalty will go against the Bulldogs with 12:15 remaining in the game.
On a day like today, though, I'd go with a more mobile quarterback because they certainly aren't getting much time to set up. Preston Jones, the more NFL-type quarterback, stand up there and fire it down the field. Talley, more mobile. And you better be mobile today if you're going to stand behind that. Georgia line is having some
Holding,
trouble.
offensive line, second down.
They'll move it back here to the 42-yard line. Play the down over again. And Greg Talley, a real gritty leader for the Bulldogs, having to really grit his teeth on the sideline because you know he wants to be there. This game is not over, even though Auburn leads by 17. 12:15 remains. Georgia will need to score on this drive or it'll start really clouding up for it. Jones under pressure, hit as he throws down the middle, picked off by Dennis Wallace at the 33-yard line. 2 interceptions today by Preston Jones. Under pressure that time, but he threw it up for grabs. The previous pass likewise was lofted out there.
And I think this is what they mean when they say that Preston Jones isn't really ready to play on a consistent basis. You have to understand defenses. You have to know where to put the ball at risk. And that was just a throw that was not a wise ball to put in the air.
12:08 remaining. Auburn with the interception. You know, Georgia led the league in the best turnover takeaway category. In other words, they had taken the ball away many more times than they had given it up. But Auburn today has won that battle. Both teams have 2 turnovers, but Auburn's have come at significant times. Takeaways. Now they have the ball again, and Danley spends his way for about 3 yards with 12 minutes to go in the game.
And Mo Lewis still fighting down there, taking on Selby and taking on Victor Hall. Trying to come up with the ball. You need a turnover right now. This thing isn't over, as you mentioned. Ole Miss ahead of Tennessee. There's a surprise for you.
So Tennessee struggling with Ole Miss. Well, of course, we know that we've seen Ole Miss before. We saw Ole Miss beat Georgia. We saw Ole Miss beat Florida on TBS telecast this year. Good football team, and now they're leading Tennessee. What a hole for Danley inside Georgia territory to the 46-yard line. Stacy Danley, 17 yards.
He makes this run unmolested. Another fine job by the right side of that Auburn line. Selby, and you see Strong there, and he's into the secondary, and he is on Mike Jones and Ben Smith before they know what's happening. Stacy Danley, shoulder injury, kept him out of action for the last couple of weeks, but he's coming back strong.
First down from the 46. Here's Darrell Williams. Williams gets 3 or 4 yards over on the left side before Robert Bell makes the stop for the Georgia Bulldogs. University of Georgia will have a week off, and they'll play Georgia Tech. Pat Dye's Auburn Tigers will have a week off, and they'll play Alabama at Auburn for the first time.
I guess there are a lot of T-shirts circulating in the Southeast about that particular game. Alabama fans looking forward to getting down there. I think after this game, though, they might want to rethink it. They want to become a little bit more conservative with their T-shirts.
Darrell Williams close to the first down. Gant makes the stop. Well, this is the best I've seen Auburn look. Auburn has been a dominating football team in this game today.
And they have been strong on defense, but their offense has struggled. And I think this afternoon they unwrapped it a little bit more, took the governor off, and turned it loose.
On a 1st and 10 from the Georgia 36. Danley to about the 34. Georgia Tech, by the way, speaking of Georgia's traditional regular season ending opponent, Georgia Tech with a real big lead over Wake Forest earlier today. We'll get an update. It was something like 22-0 a little while ago. Some of the fans are leading Sanford Stadium to attempt to beat the traffic, seeing the 20-3 score with 9:32 to go here. What if they'd turn around if Georgia picked one off and made it 20-10, try to get back in here?
Well, we have seen stranger things happen. There's no question about it. But so far, this has been Auburn's afternoon.
This is 2nd down 9. Slack going to go to the air. It is complete over on the near sideline, short of the first down to Alexander Wright. Ray Goff, you were talking about him having the headsets off. They're back on now.
They're back on, and this is a tough afternoon. You know, you realize once the game started, you can't tell whether the team's ready to play or not. I mean, I've been in the locker rooms all my life. I can't tell what's going to happen, and certainly a coach can't. But when the game started, it was evident after a little while that his team emotionally needed some oomph, and so it's kind of a helpless feeling for you as a head coach to try to inject that into him at that time.
On the 3rd and 1, this is Danley. He's going to get the first down by a yard or so to about the 24-yard line. That clock ticking down very rapidly from a Georgia point of view. 8:23 remaining in this ball game. Other scores from around the nation today. Fresno State undefeated on the year, ranked 23rd, trailing early. Michigan trailed Minnesota early too, but now back on the proper side of that score, at least from my point of view. Duke hammering North Carolina. There, look at this, Georgia Tech 43-0 over Wake Forest today.
Bobby Ross has done a great job there.
Now the Bulldogs get a chance to go play a fired-up Tech team. Wright is wrestled down for a loss by Mo Lewis back at the 30.
Good hustle by that Georgia defense, staying in the football game. People here, as you see, Dickie Clark, who was a captain here in 1976 for the defense, standing next to his teammate Ray Goff. People are happy here with the progress of this young Georgia Bulldog football team. They're not unhappy. They would like to have seen a better performance here, and they'll certainly want to beat Georgia Tech, but all in all, they're happy with the progress that has taken place throughout the year.
2nd down 15 from the 30. Slack with the handoff to Darrell Williams. Just a couple of yards this time. By the way, while we have a moment, I want to give our best wishes to our producer, Skip Ellison, one of the great Bulldogs who will be leaving TBS and heading to the Windy City. The Tribune Broadcasting, taking his expertise and knowledge and talent. We'll miss you, Skip.
It really is an asset for us up in the booth to have someone down there guiding and planning, that knows football and that has such a good spirit. It's been great to work with.
On the 3rd down 13, Slack. It's picked off, popped into the air and then picked off, and Georgia will have the ball, making Skip very happy at the 33-yard line. The man who hit it was Mo Lewis. The man who came down with it was Mike Steele. Steele's 97. Watch Mo Lewis here.
Lewis fighting his way toward the quarterback, dumps the ball, and
Steep to 3. And it's been all Auburn today. But Georgia with the interception after the tipped pass. An opportunity to get something. Freshman Preston Jones completes it to Hampton. He makes him miss once or twice and then gets out of bounds at the 41-yard line.
They haven't get Hampton on track this afternoon. And as you pointed out, Bob, that eliminates the balance from the offense. Hampton is the running game, and a fine pass receiver.
Pat Dye had a grin on his face yesterday when I said balance. He says, Bob, you and I both know it stopped Rodney Hampton. Only 29 yards today. Auburn has done just that. Here is Hampton in the open field after the reception, however. And the fumble out of bounds. Quentin Riggins, John Wiley working on Hampton. 16-yard gain that time. So Hampton does have 5 catches for 48 yards.
Give a lot of credit to little Alfonso Ellis. He's been fighting Craig Ogletree the last 2 plays, and he's done an admirable job of keeping Ogletree out of Talley's face.
6:21 remaining. First down, Bulldogs at the 44 of Auburn. Preston Jones. Diving grab. It is complete. Arthur Marshall with the catch for Georgia at the 40. Arthur's just a sophomore, too. He's from Hepzibah, Georgia.
Said Ellis was doing a good job keeping Ogletree out of Talley's face. Of course, it's out of Preston Jones's face as Arthur Marshall stretches out for that reception.
Second down 6 at the 40. Preston Jones having a run for his life here. He'll get a few yards, actually about a half a yard past the original line of scrimmage. Not quite the runner, as you pointed out earlier, Tim, as Greg Talley is. Neither one of these Georgia quarterbacks is the runner that Slack is. But this will bring up third down at about 5.
And that's where receivers downfield have to really go to work. When the quarterback is on the move like that, the pattern is not over. Now the second pattern begins, and you need to find an open area.
Good protection this time. Hampton catches it for the first down and a little more. Goes to the 27. Wiley with the stop for Auburn. A gain of 12. And Hampton now with double the receiving yardage as he has on the ground today.
Steve Dennis's secondary playing man underneath. Too deep behind it. You try to beat this thing short and across the middle of the field. As you're running to open field there as Wiley corrals Hampton.
From the 28-yard line of Auburn. First down, Preston Jones. Does he throw another interception? It was Wiley who came in there. The officials say that it is Auburn ball. Wiley made the interception, his second of the day. The third interception thrown by Preston Jones. So Wiley, the quarterback, really who's out of position playing free safety with 2 interceptions today.
Watch John Wiley come over the top here. They try to dump it to Warner. He's coming in over the top. He has possession of the football. Warner tries to get in there, but it's Auburn ball. Now you're going to see this, and this shows John Wiley coming over the top, clearly making the interception. This action caught by our handheld camera in the end zone. Steve Shepard's pulling the trigger there. Ball thrown right on time by Preston Jones. Wiley moves on the ball, and as you can see, clearly has possession of the football. Kirk Warner trying to get in there and say, give me some of that. But the official was right on it.
First down, 10 Auburn. 4:46 to go in the ball game, and this one's in the history books again. This will be Auburn's 4th consecutive win over Georgia at Sanford Stadium. So many of these Auburn players are from this part of the country that this is not really an away game for the Tigers. Last Bulldog win in Athens, as a matter of fact, was in 1981. The last time Georgia beat Auburn here, 81. It was a 24-13 win. Reggie Slack calling the play. Slack 21 for 28, 236 yards today.
But as you mentioned, the home field isn't really an advantage because Georgia's beat them 3 times over there.
Exactly, for the same reasons, of course. Let's go down to the sideline now to Ron Thulin. Penalty marker on the play. We'll get it when we come back from Ron.
Bob, I'll tell you what, even though there's just 4:01 remaining in the game, the coaches for Auburn still say this game is not over. They're on the sideline. Reggie Harrington is yelling at his defensive line saying, you guys got to execute. You have to play. This one isn't over. There is no talk of Alabama so far. There's still 4:01 left.
There are thoughts of Alabama, I would bet, however. Second down, 16 after the penalty. 10-yard penalty against Auburn.
Schramm referring to Reggie Herron, who was an All-American at Florida State. He's the inside linebacker coach for Pat Dye's defense.
Look at this time of possession. Auburn 37 minutes to 19 minutes. They have dominated the ball here. Their ball control has been just magnificent this afternoon with a mix of runs and passes. It was second down. Third down and 15. It'll be third down and 9. Look at some scores around the South. Speaking of Alabama playing a Southern Miss team. Second quarter, it's a close game, and Ole Miss and Tennessee locked in a struggle in Knoxville. Ole Miss leading by 1 early. Florida out in front of Kentucky. That's third quarter down in Gainesville. Florida wearing all orange uniforms today.
I thought Florida would have a hard time with Kentucky emotionally. They've been really strung out the last couple of weeks, and Kentucky always plays them tough, but Gary Darnell's got them ready to play.
Darrell Williams, penalty marker is down with 2:57 remaining in the game. So Tennessee and Ole Miss, we thought that'd be a tough football game. As we mentioned earlier, Ole Miss is certainly not chopped liver. They're a very good football team this year. Tennessee wanting to win their way out, finish the season 10-1. Demetrius Douglas being helped off the field.
Holding. Offensive line is declined. Be a 4th down.
So Richie Nell into punt for Auburn. And Georgia will go for it with 10 men on the line. They didn't get there. The official reached for his flag about 3 times and then didn't throw it. And it was a good no throw. 32-yard punt at the 44-yard line. Georgia will take over with 2:44 remaining in this ball game. Georgia with one more opportunity to try to score, trailing 20-3, 2:44 remaining. They have the ball at the 44-yard line of Bulldogs. Auburn 460 total yards today. Georgia 233. Preston Jones hammered back at the 33-yard line. Just drilled at the 33, and Preston Jones has had a nightmare today.
Bob, that time they ran off the wide receivers. They ran off Kurt Warner, and they tried to run an option pattern with the weak back in there now. Ware, and he was not able to get open. Quentin Riggins was all over him, and Jones had nowhere to go with the football.
98, who sacked him, was Mike Campbell. Almost the 3rd interception of the day for John Wiley. Was right there. Wiley's having himself a whale of an afternoon.
There's Wayne Hall with his hand over the microphone. He's done an excellent job this year. His young defense against Tennessee took a licking. Just a great job of offense by Tennessee, and he brought them back together, and I think he's built their confidence back, and they're just playing hot right now. Quentin Riggins, obviously an emotional leader of that defense. Not a big guy, probably the best 5'11" linebacker in the country. But he can play behind some good defensive linemen, and that's what Wayne Hall has developed over the course of the year. With Horn and Tate. Rocker, of course, was there before. Richard Shea, Tim Cromartie, Wilson, and Rogers. That's just a good group of guys that'll keep coming at you.
Speaking of coming at you, 3rd down 21 for Georgia. Auburn could lay back their ears here. Larry Ware in motion. Penalty markers are down. Pass goes incomplete. Intended for Kirk Warner. Coverage by Alex Thomas of Auburn with 1:58 remaining in the ball game. And the Auburn Tigers are setting up that big showdown with Alabama down at the loveliest village on the plains on December 2nd. Georgia's record.
Face mask. Offensive lineman is declined. Will be 4th down. 4th down.
Georgia's record now at 6-4 after this game. 4-3 in the SEC. Georgia has to play Georgia Tech in Atlanta on December 2nd. Georgia headed for the Peach Bowl. But I'll tell you what, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets will make that a bowl game, because Georgia Tech apparently has been frozen out of a bowl appearance this year because of the early selections, even though Tech could, if they were to beat Georgia, had a big 43-0 lead over Wake Forest today, finish 7-4. Hester, 8th punt of the day. Shane Wasden fair catches it at the 31. And Auburn now only has to run out the clock. Well, it's going to be an interesting matchup, the Auburn-Alabama matchup, Tim.
Be fun to be there, wouldn't it?
I'll tell you, it's hard to decide what the strengths of those two teams and weaknesses matchups are, because they both have so many weapons, and both of them have exceptional defensive teams.
And Auburn's offense seems to have come to life. And Don Lindsay obviously is going to be at work putting together a plan to shut this down and not let this happen, but right now they are on their stride.
Frank McIntosh has come in to clean up for Reggie Slack in this ball game, a junior from Camden, Alabama, at quarterback. He's number 15. There's Frank. He's 6'1", 170, with a minute and a half to go in the ball game. And Reggie Slack sits down with an excellent afternoon. He did throw 2 interceptions. Neither one of them really hurt him, but he went for 236 yards in the air and ran that offense beautifully today. Also, excellent performance from Darrell Williams. Darrell Williams finished the afternoon with 128 yards. On the 2nd down 8, the handoff to Danley. That's Kelly Brooks. Check that, the fullback, 3rd-team fullback, number 35, carrying the ball. And you see in the 4th quarter, Ole Miss and Tennessee at Knoxville still locked into the game, but that's early 4th quarter. 14 minutes remains in that game in Knoxville. A lot of football to be played yet there. Tennessee wanting to win out. Tim Foley and I will be either in Knoxville on December 2nd for the Vanderbilt-Tennessee game, or in Gainesville, Florida for the Florida State-Florida football game. We'll have to check your local listings for that.
As Danley carries the ball, that's the last game between the hedges for some defense. Seniors on defense for Georgia. Bill Goldberg, last time here. Hiawatha Berry, last time lining up. Matt McCormick, I've got him down here as a junior. I thought he was a senior, but he's a 5th-year guy, walk-on out of Westminster High School in Miami. Demetrius Douglas, a great career. And that's it, a young defense for Georgia. Ray Goff is going to have a boat full coming back next year on offense and defense as this one winds to a close.
The Auburn Tigers have won 4 in a row here in Athens. 20-3, the final score in 1989, and Pat Dye will now let them talk about Alabama. We'll be back for final comments in just a moment. Auburn has beaten Georgia 20-3 behind the passing and the leadership of Reggie Slack, and he's on the sideline with Ron Thulin right now.
Bob, I think you hit it exactly on the head. It was the leadership of Reggie Slack this afternoon. Reggie, was this the type of game you first of all expected to play against Georgia?
I thought coming into this game I was going to have a good performance, as well as our running backs and just our entire offense, and for us to be able to have a chance to win this game. My performance today is something that I've been looking for all season, and it came at the right time. We came up here with still a chance to share in the SEC, to win the SEC, and I did what I had to do for us to still have that chance.
Oh, Coach Dye talks about the fact that you have done more this year than you have in years past. You have to play well in order for this team to be successful. Would that be correct?
I think so. This whole season, the type of teams that we face, it was important for me to play well in those games, just for us to have a chance to win. We've been in some tough games all season, and some games we had to pull out at the end. And today, we stayed with it all day long, and it was a good win for us.
You picked apart the Georgia secondary. Repeatedly, there were players wide open. Were you surprised about that? What were you doing to get those players so wide open?
I think it was just a matter of, our offensive line. They played great. They gave me all the time I needed back there in the pocket. And our wide receivers ran great routes. Coming into this game, I really didn't expect our passing game to do what it did, considering they have Ben Smith back there and great players up on their defensive line. So you know, once we started clicking on offense, you know, we just tried to take advantage of what they were giving us.
One quick question. Now it's time to think about Alabama. Are you ready?
Oh, yeah, definitely. You know, it was kind of hard all season not to think about Alabama. It's the last game on our schedule, but, you know, you think about them way back there in the fall, in August, when you start getting ready for that first game. So, you know, right now we can devote all our attention to them and get ready to play them.
Good job today, Reggie Slack. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
Bob?
Thank you, Ron. We'll be back with our player of the game and final comments right after this. Final score in Athens, Auburn 20, Georgia 3. Today's Valvoline players of the game are Reggie Slack for Auburn, 236 yards and a touchdown, and some great senior leadership at the quarterback position today, and the Georgia seniors who played their last game here today between the hedges, as Georgia will play at Athens and then in the Peach Bowl in Atlanta at the end of the regular season. On behalf of Valvoline, TBS Sports, proud to contribute $1,000 to the General Scholarship Fund for each institution in recognition of this honor. 2 weeks from today, Tim and I will be either in Gainesville or Knoxville. We'll bring you the cross-state rivals Florida State Seminoles at the Florida Gators, or we'll have the Vanderbilt Commodores taking on Johnny Majors Tennessee Volunteers at 12:30 Eastern on your home of SEC football, TBS Sports. Today's game has been brought to you by Budweiser, Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. For all you do, this Bud's for you. By Valvoline Motor Oil, people who know use Valvoline. By Georgia Pacific Building Products with superior performance built in. By Citgo, the sign of quality. And by Buick and your Buick dealer. The Great American Road belongs to Buick. As you look at the people responsible for the telecast, our executive producer, Don McGuire, and it's time to say goodbye to Robert Skip Ellison, who will be heading to Chicago and leaving TBS Sports. We will miss him a great deal, and we wish you Godspeed and good luck in Chicago with Tribune Broadcasting. Skip has been an integral part of our TBS Sports crew here as our producer of SEC football, and the team just won't be the same without him.
We want to give you a jersey. Since you're going to be held hostage in Chicago for a while, as Louis Gazard says, you need to wear this up there and holler, how about them dogs, and then they'll know you're nuts. Can you handle that?
I can do it.
You do that.
No bet me big orange people.